Alrighty, I just need to throw this out there. I don't need to do a major intro or anything like that, or in some way, shape, or form. But was talking like on some Facebook Live stuff. I had to throw a short out there, but I'm gonna put this one up there because, quite honestly, this is something that definitely needs to be addressed, especially if you are a Penn State fan, such as myself. Let's just narrow this down real quick as much as I possibly can, because I don't want to make we don't need no intro. We don't need to do anything of that sort, because Penn State loses to Michigan today. I kind of thought they were going to, but not in the way I kind of thought this was going to be. So let's just throw a little bit of somewhat of a narrative. I love James Franklin. I think he's a great coach. I think he's a great recruiter. But there's a lot of facts, and I had a lot of thoughts going into my head as I was roaming through a supermarket today and a Giant Eagle, just thinking to myself, I was thinking the worst, but I'll get to that in a second. Let's just put this in perspective. Sure, you've got a Rose Bowl, you've got a Fiesta Bowl, and you've got a Cotton Bowl, but the former athletic director signed you to a 10-year contract, 10-year extension. Your job, get a national championship back to Penn State. And I know it's hard. I know winning a national championship, it's hard. It's hard. It's very hard. And you got Ohio State and Michigan in your neighborhood. You're not worried about Maryland and Rutgers and Indiana. You're not worried about those guys. It's always the two big dogs, Ohio State and Michigan. And Penn State just seems like they're always in that. They're always, let's say, the proverbial third wheel, you know. Let's just be completely honest about James Franklin. You're 1-9 against Ohio State lifetime. If it wasn't for a blocked field goal, you're 3-7 against Michigan. A lot of those were not with Harbaugh. You're fortunate you beat Harbaugh, I think, once. You're 3-17 against big top 10 teams. Your job is to get this team to the playoff. Now I get the BCS was a bunch of garbage. There's nothing but Alabama's. There's nothing but Clemson's lately. Ohio State's, and they're all hanging in that general perspective. But he can't get them there. He will never get them there as long as Ohio State and Michigan are standing in front of him. He can't win those big games. As much as I love him, and I kind of hope he stays, because he's great for the community and he's great for the university. But I'm now hearing the word overrated. And if you can't get this team to a playoff, I don't even care you get trounced 42-10 by Bama. You can't get to the playoff. That's kind of the reason why they signed you. And I'm kind of having this epiphany to the point where I had this vision where this realistic vision that Patrick Kraft, who's the athletic director of Penn State, I had this thing about he's going to bring him and the offensive coordinator into his office, talk some BS, drink some hot coffee, and then be like, all right, here's the reason why I brought you in. First of all, this offensive coordinator, you're garbage. Go pack your stuff out of your office. You've not done anything right. I'm sorry. Take a hike. Thanks for flying United. You, Mr. Franklin, we know you've done some fantastic things. However, as I said before, you're 1-9 against Ohio State, 3-7 against Michigan, 3-17 in top 10 teams. I don't care if you've got 3 big, gigantic New Year's Day bowl wins. You've got 2 minutes to explain to me why I shouldn't fire you now. I've got Urban Meyer on speed dial, and somewhere in here, probably Cliff Kingsbury's probably somewhere in here, that would gladly turn this offense into a juggernaut. And by the way, Urban Meyer, when this job was available, he was talking about it before he took Ohio State. And you couldn't beat him either. So I love them, but what is going on? I can't tell you. I don't have the answer for you because they're going to beat Rutgers probably. They're going to beat Michigan State, and there's all these little scenarios possibly that they could be going back to the Rose Bowl. Because if Michigan and Ohio State win out, they're going to play each other in 2 weeks. If it doesn't, whoever wins that game is in the playoff. Because whoever wins that game is going to steamroll whoever wins the Big Ten, who is going to win the Big Ten title game, regardless. The leftover may end up, it very well might be Michigan, Ohio State, Georgia, and whoever hangs around, either Florida State or Washington. There's your there's your final five, and it's going to depend on a bunch of weirdos in a room and be like, who had the better wins of Washington or Florida State? Because we know Michigan and Ohio State are two of the top teams in the league in the nation. We already know Georgia's going to be in it because they got such a cupcake schedule. And even if they lose to Bama in the SEC title game, they'll probably still get in. It's such a mind-boggling thing. Because if Michigan and Ohio State go into the playoff again, Penn State can go to the Rose Bowl again. And I get it. Penn State travels, and they travel well, and they'll play well. And they're probably going to play in either an Oregon or an Arizona or a USC or a UCLA or whomever the second best was in the Pac-12, the last Pac-12 team to play in the Rose Bowl game. It's either that or they're going to be playing some weird game, the Outback or the Citrus Bowl, against an SEC team that's probably going to knock them all over the place. So I don't know what you guys think with Franklin, because I know there's a handful of people that I know and a handful of friends that I have that are anti-Penn State till hell freezes over. But I know there are a great handful of people that do care. What do you think is going on? I know you care about the game. You care about because that's what the money brings in. What do you guys think? A little help would be nice. Like, really? Like, I can't really say I messed up, but I'm kind of not surprised about it. What do you basically think is going on? And what would you like to see? I mean, you could sit there and say, Franklin needs to leave. This needs to leave. Drew Aller can't play. This is this and that. You could say 5,000 things. The OC needs to leave. I really didn't want to bring up Urban Meyer's name, but I talked to this with a certain person. There's a difference between playing for a coach and winning, and playing for a coach and winning and wanting to win a national title. There's a difference. Bama's done it for 2 decades. Georgia's doing it now. Ohio State could do it anytime they want because they get 5, 6, 7-star athletes out of their back pocket. Oregon wants to do it. Michigan is in that position now. I don't care about regardless of the scandal that's going on with Harbaugh, Michigan is in the position now to win. What do you think? What do you people think? Really? I need to know. I'm shutting this down. This is getting thrown up. And I love Penn State, but we're now in this transition of kind of got to think overrated. I don't want to say that, but you now have to start thinking. Is James Franklin the guy? Was it very bad decision making? Of course it was. Were you outplayed against Michigan? Well, the first half was actually competitive. But you missed an extra point. That's on a kicker. That's a kicker problem. And then it was a defensive battle back and forth, but it was very, very bad decision making late in the game. And then you go on a 4th down and you blew that up, and the very next play they get blown for a 20-some yard touchdown run. The last touchdown was just the most embarrassing. They get the touchdown, and then you know what? I don't even want to talk about it because it was just a mess. You give me your response and your calls and your comments. Trust me, I know there's a handful of people that are going to throw their comments in saying that Penn State deserves this and Penn State needs to die a slow death. But Penn State fans, honestly, do you want to keep seeing this broken record? Please, any help would be fine.